Alrighty. So for this one, we're going to draw two triangles with the following properties. Property marked, and then write a congruent statement for each. And say also why they're congruent. We're going to write the congruent statement and say why they are congruent. So we're going to draw two triangles. So let me just draw two triangles here, make them green. I'm going to make them right triangles. You don't have to. You can make them any kind of triangles. So I'm going to make two right triangles that, to me, look congruent. All right? And then I'm going to start labeling things on these triangles. So one of them says AB is congruent to DE. So for this one, I'm going to say, okay, AB is congruent to DE. So look at that carefully. It says that AB is congruent to DD. AB is congruent to DE. So there we go. I drew two triangles that to me look congruent. And on those triangles, I put AB and DE, and I marked them congruent. So now we have BC is congruent to EF. So B, let's start with B, and I got to go to C. So I'm going to call this C out here. That is congruent to, BC is congruent to EF. So E to F. Let's call this F and call that EF. So now we have AB is congruent to DE. And BC is congruent to EF. All right. Our last piece is AC is congruent to DF. So is AC's right here, mark 3 marks, is congruent to DF, which is right there. Boom. I just drew two triangles, marked it according to the information given, and I made two congruent triangles. Now, why are these two triangles congruent? Well, look at the sides. Isn't that SSS? SSS. So why they are congruent is because of SSS. Because they have side, side, side. Now, I want to write the congruent statement. So triangle what is congruent to triangle what? So let's now write the names of each of these triangles we made and write a congruence triangle statement. So let's do the first triangle. Can I call it ABC just to make it alphabetical? ABC. ABC. So to make my next triangle, what corresponds to A? Isn't it D? So I'm going to call it D. Okay. Next, okay, so AB, what corresponds to B? Isn't that the E right here? So that would be E. And what corresponds to C? C's our last letter. Isn't that F? So there it is. That right there is the two triangles are congruent. Those are the names. And that is the reason why. All right, for this next one, I'm going to make two triangles again. I'm going to make them look a little different. I'm going to make a triangle that looks like this. And another triangle. It has to be congruent to it. So I'm just changing it up a little bit. So here's my two triangles, somewhat congruent. I'm not perfect drawing, but they look similar, and that's what we're looking for. And then I want to make AC is congruent to DF. So I'm going to call this A and call this C is congruent to DF. So AC is congruent to DF. And let's mark it with one marking. So there we go. AC is congruent to DF. You can make your triangles any shape you want. Just make sure they're congruent. And then mark the labels so you have everything nice and accurate to what it says. Next, it says that AB is congruent to DE. So AB we have to put B over here. So AB is congruent to DE. So I'd have to put E right here. So when that AB be congruent to DE, we now have our two triangles. But we still need to focus in on this last angle. Alrighty, so next, angle CAB is congruent to angle FDE. So watch carefully how I say this. CAB. CAB. Are you okay? That's this angle right there. And then I say FDE. FDE. Wouldn't that be that angle right here? Be very careful. Basically, do you understand the middle letter is where the angle's at? The middle letter is where the angle's at. Because it's saying FDE and CAB. So what I have there now are two congruent triangles. And if you look at it carefully, isn't that side, angle, side? Side, angle, side. So we call that side, angle, side is why they're congruent. And let's write the triangles. Oops, that was weird. Is congruent to triangle what? So let's see. For the first triangle, let's call it ABC. It just makes it easy, ABC. So I call it ABC. ABC. It's congruent to what? ABC is congruent to D, E, F. Do those correspond? Does A correspond to D? Does B correspond to E and C correspond to F? So we are good. Okay, we have another one right here. Let's make some more triangles. This one I'm going to make look like this. Again, it's your choice how you want to make them look. Just make them look congruent. All right. And then what I have here is that BC is congruent to EF. So I'm going to call this BC, mark it, is congruent to EF. So BC is congruent to EF. All right, now I got to look at these two angles. Remember, you look at the inside letter to tell the angle. I have BCA. So BC, oh, there's no A, but wouldn't that have to be over here? Let's call that A. So BCA, isn't it right there? Wouldn't that be BCA? BCA would be that angle. And it'd be EFG. EFG, G would be right there. Oh, we got to mark F. G, wouldn't this be G? Our last letter. We have EFG. So BCA is going to go to EFG. And look at the last one. Look at these letters underneath. That'd be angle B and angle E. So we have angle ABC. So ABC, ABC would be this angle. Is congruent to angle GEF. GEF. So it's congruent to GEF. So what we have there now are two triangles. And why are they congruent? Angle, side, angle. Angle, side, angle. So they're congruent because of angle, side, angle. And let's put the names of these triangles as well. So what would the two triangle names be? I'm going to call the first one ABC. I just like to keep it simple. So ABC. So ABC, what it corresponds to A? G. So this would be G. What corresponds to, so I have AB. So what corresponds to B? E. And the last one's F, because F corresponds with C. So we have now these two triangles are congruent because of SA, ASA, and those are the names of the triangles. All right, let's do the last one. Let's make two triangles again. I'm going to make my triangles look like this time. Again, it's your choice how you want to make your triangles. There's my two triangles. All right, I have AC is congruent to DF. So AC is congruent to DF. So AC, let's call this A and call this C, is congruent to DF. So I have AC is congruent to DF. Next, ABC, look at the middle letter, kind of tells you where to look for. So ABC, so AO, that B, wouldn't it be that B right here, the other letter? So there's B. So ABC, wouldn't that be right there? It's congruent to DEF. There's no E, so let's put E here. DEF would be right there. So ABC is congruent to DEF. Are my two angles and my two sides. Last one, we have BCA and EFD. So BCA would be BCA congruent to EFD. So it looks like those angles are congruent. And what I have now are two congruent triangles. They are congruent, and the reason, it's called angle, side, is another congruency statement. Because you have an angle, side, angle, side. And lastly, what are my triangle names? Well, let's do ABC to begin with again. I just like to start with the ABC, it's easy. So ABC, what corresponds to A? D. What corresponds to B? E. And what corresponds to C is F. There we go. We now have all four done. Now be aware, these are the four congruency statements. You should have one that's SSS, one should be SAS, one should be ASA, and one should be AAS. Be careful and make sure to draw it all nice and neat and put the triangle names when you're done.